this week's parshas, parshas Balak. The Arab Balak ben Tzipor, and Balak, the son of Tzipor, had seen Eshkol Asher Osa Yisrael Amori, all that Yisrael had done from the Amori. What is this referring to? So Rashi cites the Midrash Tanchuma. Omar, Balak had said, Elu Shnei Malochim Shoyim Betuchim Aleim. These were the two kings that we relied upon them, Lo Omdu B'fneim, and they weren't able to stand in the presence of the Jewish people. We have Og Melech HaBoshan, Og the king of Bashan, was a giant, and Sichon, the king of Amori. They have two giants, and they weren't able to stand in the presence of Klal Yisrael. Moshe destroyed both of them, and they were the protectorates of the nations of Canaan. Ono Lachs Kam V'Kamo. So the giants weren't able to withstand the Jewish people, the Klal Yisrael, their onslaught. With deafness, we wouldn't be able to withstand them. Lefichach Vayoger Moab. Therefore, Moab was overwhelmingly frightened and paralyzed with fright. Vayoger Moab Me'od. Moab was very frightened because of the people to a great degree. Kiravu, because they were numerous. Vayokot Moab Nebnei Yisrael, and Moab were disgusted with themselves. They were frustrated because they didn't know what to do with themselves. Now it's interesting. The pasuk says, Balak had seen Eshkol Asher Osa Yisrael Amori. The pasuk doesn't say Eshkol Asher Osa B'nei Yisrael Amori. They say what the B'nei Yisrael, what the children of Israel did to the Amori. Eshkol Asher Osa Yisrael, what Yisrael had done. When we read in the previous portion, in terms of when Moshe Rabbeinu originally sent agents to Sichon, Melech Amori, the Torah says, Vayishlach Yisrael Malochi. El Sichon Melech Amori. It doesn't say Bnei Yisrael sent Malochim agents. Yisrael sent. Then it says when they were destroyed, when Sichon was destroyed, it says Vayakeu Yisrael Lefi Chorev. Yisrael destroyed them by the sword. Doesn't say Vayakeu Bnei Yisrael. Vayikach Yisrael is Kol Ha'ori Va'elo. When they conquered the cities of Sichon, it says again, they're referred to as Yisrael, not Bnei Yisrael. Why aren't they referred to Bnei Yisrael? And in this pasuk, it begins, Balak, the son of Tzipor, saw all that Yisrael was unto the Amori. Then it says, Vayokot Moab Bnei Yisrael. They were disgusted with themselves. They were frustrated because of the Bnei Yisrael. All of a sudden, the pasuk concludes, the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. We find that initially Yaakov's name was Yaakov, but after he had defeated the Malach, the angel, so the Torah says your name will no longer be Yaakov, but rather Yisrael. Why? Because you lorded over God, meaning you were victorious over the angel, being Odom. And the Odom, who's the Odom? This is Lavan and Esav, Betuchel, and you were victorious. As a result of this, you will be Yisrael. But what is the significance? What's the distinction of the appellation of Yisrael that was given to Yaakov? Yisrael indicates that you will always have the upper hand. There is no formidable situation that you're not able to overcome. This is part of the eternity, the eternal profile, and what has become intrinsic to Klal Yisrael. Yisrael, because what lies within Yaakov, who became Yisrael. To be able to be victorious to the degree that we were, how do you stand up against two giants? He had seen this Kolashar also Yisrael Amori. It's not the Bnei Yisrael, it's not they as people, but they, who they represent. What is their representation? It's Yaakov. It's the Yisrael. It's the characteristic of Yisrael. It's the profile they inherited from the most special of the Avos HaKadoshim, of the holy patriarchs, which is Yisrael. So they had seen all that Yisrael had done to them. Now that the Jews are actually coming, and they were frustrated, they didn't know what to do with the enemy. It says, how do we contend with these people? So when you speak about the people themselves, that's Bnei Yisrael. Those are the children of Israel. When we speak about what we call the koach, the ability, that's Yisrael. The ability lies within our representation. But in terms of what do we have to contend with, when we're frustrated, and therefore we're disgusted with ourselves, we don't know where to turn, then it's Bnei Yisrael, because the Bnei Yisrael are coming. And last week's reading, that after Og, Sichon Melech HaMori was killed by Moshe, Torah tells him, Vayikach Yisrael kol ha'orim ha'elech. Yisrael took all the cities. Vayeshiv Yisrael b'chol orei ha'amori v'cheshbon b'chol b'nosel. And Yisrael settled in all the cities of the Amori. V'cheshbon. Cheshbon was the metropolis. That was the main city, and all the encircling outskirts, outlying cities. Why was Cheshbon the capital? Cheshbon Sichon. Cheshbon was the city of Sichon. It was Melech Amori. He was the king of the Amorites. 8. Nilcham de Melech Moab Harishon. He had fought the king of Moab initially. Vikachos Kol Artzim Yodu Ad Arno. And he had captured all his territory until Arno. The Klal Yisrael were not permitted to take any territory from Moab. So this originally, Cheshbon originally was Moab territory. But because Sichon had conquered it, and now it's seen as Sichon territory, so therefore it's called Tiro b'Sichon. Moab was Tiro. It was actually rectified, it was purified, and became legitimately conquerable because Sichon had taken it over. Al-Kein Yomu HaMoshlim. So it concludes, therefore the Moshlim will say, Bo Cheshbon, come to Cheshbon, Kiboneh v'Sikoneh near Sichon. It should be built and should be established. The city of Sichon. So Rashi says, what does it mean we should come to Sichon? The Moshlim said, go to Sichon. Who are the Moshlim? Bilam. Bilam is referred to the Moshlim. Moshlim means the rulers. He expressed himself when he blessed, he wanted, because Klal says, Vayisem Shalom, he blessed, he gave his allegory, his moshel. HaMoshlim, Bilam u'Beor. And what did they say? Bilam and his father Beor, who was also a sorcerer, they were both sorcerers. Bo Cheshbon. Go to Cheshbon. What will you find in Cheshbon? Sichon Yochel L'Koksho. Initially, it was such an impregnable city. Cheshbon, Sichon was not able to capture it. V'holach v'soches Bilam v'chalo. And he went and he commissioned Bilam to curse it. The only way he was able to capture the city was only through the curse of Bilam. And this is what Balak had said when he sent a message to Bilam to tell him that he wants him to curse Klal Yisrael. I know what you bless is blessed and what you curse is cursed. How does he know what he curses is cursed? Where did he see the curse manifesting himself in such a profound way that physical might wasn't able to do it, but the curse of Bilam was able to penetrate that city, this impregnable city? Because initially Sichon, although he was a giant, although he was something which we'll see in a moment, the power was one of a kind, and he wasn't able to capture the city, but yet the curse of Bilam was able to destroy the city. It was due to the curse. It says Bo Cheshbon. Now we'll see in a moment. So what did they see? Balak had seen what Yisrael had done to them already. Now, who was their already? Physical might, one of a kind. He wasn't able to capture the city of Heshbon. But he saw what? That Bilam's curse was able to destroy them. So meaning Bilam's curse was greater than this power. So that the Jews proved that might, physical might, was not an issue, that they were able to destroy, whether it was Paro or Sichon and Og, who were the protectorates of Canaan. But one thing they saw, the power of Bilam is something which nobody's able to deal with. And therefore, as a result of that, he commissioned Bilam to curse Klal Yisrael. The Midrash tells us, we say, David HaMelech said, many Kilom Chasdo. He repeated Kilom Chasdo. We say this in the Psuki de Zimra of Shabbos and Yom Tiv 26 times, because the first 26 generations of existence, Torah didn't exist, and the world needed merit to exist, because the world stands in the merit of Torah. So why did the world exist? The world exists, Kilom Chasdo, was purely based on the kindness, the unlimited kindness of Hashem. And what do we say in the Kilom Chasdo? We say Sichon Melech Amori Kilom Chasdo. Sichon the king Amori, forever is his kindness. L'og Melech Haboshen Kilom Chasdo. Og the king of Boshen Kilom Chasdo. So the Midrash tells us, although in number it seems to be, we needed Esamakos in Egypt. We needed 10 plagues to reduce Egypt to rubble. Egypt was the height of civilization. Egypt, Mitzrayim was the most powerful country in the world. That was Egypt. Paro spoke 70 languages, in terms even culturally speaking. They were advanced. Yosef knew one language more than Paro, 71 languages. So they were culturally advanced, physically advanced, militarily advanced. It was a civilization which was the most advanced and the most prosperous civilization in the world. But within 10 months, HaKadosh Baruch Hu reduced them to rubble through the 10 plagues, the Esamakos. And we leave. And finally, how was the Egyptian armies destroyed? HaKadosh Baruch Hu split the Yam Suf, split the sea, and they perished in the sea, in the Yam Suf. So seemingly, you would think for a moment that to destroy Egypt was much more difficult. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had to get involved. We needed the Yam Suf, the sea to split and the sea to come down on them. Og Melech HaBosh and Sichon Melech HaMori, the two giants, Moshe Rabbeinu killed both of them. There weren't no overt great miracles that destroyed them. Seems to be you just had to have merit. With sufficient merit, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Al Tira, don't be fearful of Og. You'll be able to destroy him. And he destroyed them. But so seemingly, to destroy Paro, Bechelo, Paro and his armies, you needed more merit than what? Than destroying Og and Sichon. Now, what Midrash tells us that the difficulty to undo Og and Sichon was much greater than what? Than to destroy Paro. Meaning the two aspects. We speak about that. Every nation has an archangel. You have 70 nations, you have 70 archangels. If the archangel is incapacitated, the nation falls. The nation will be destroyed. We find that it says Vayisa Mitzrayim Achreim in the singular. So Rashi cites Chazal, this was the archangel of Mitzrayim. Hashem incapacitated him, Egypt was destroyed. So if the spiritual counterpart is incapacitated and defeated, the physical nation falls. What was the spiritual counterpart of Sichon og? Much more formidable, much more difficult to destroy than the angel and the archangel of Mitzrayim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to Moshe Rabbeinu, I will cut them from the top and they will topple. I will destroy their angels, their archangels, and they will fall. So even though visually if you read the story, it doesn't seem to be that the Chesed Hashem was as great. What he had done to Sichon and Og, it was even greater. It was even greater. It was even more difficult. So to appreciate the Chesed of Hashem, Og has to be appreciated even more than what he had done in Mitzrayim, to defeat the Mitzrayim. The level of intervention that was needed to destroy Og and Sichon was much greater. Balak had seen that despite their power, Hashem destroyed them, even though they're more formidable than what the Mitzrayim. But as powerful as they were with their spiritual representation, Sichon could not conquer Heshbon. He wasn't able, it was an impregnable city, could not conquer it. But Bilam, his curse was so lethal that it was able to destroy or weaken Heshbon that Sichon was able to conquer it. So what does that say? In terms of the archangels, nations, Sichon and Og were one of a kind, even greater than Mitzrayim. And despite that, Bilam's curse was able to undo them. And therefore, as powerful as Sichon was, he couldn't, based on his representation, but Bilam's curse could. So therefore, Balak hoped that the only thing he had left to rely on was the curse of Bilam to destroy Klal Yisrael, Chas v'Sholom. This was the understanding. We'll see in a moment. There's a pasuk that HaKadosh Baruch Hu deceives the evil to destroy them. The Medrash tells us in last week's parsha, V'yom Hashem al Moshe Atira also, when he came to be confronted with Og, Hashem says to Moshe, don't be fearful of him. Zeh shomer HaKosov, Ashri Odom Mefachi Tomid. Fortunate is the person who's always fearful. Umakshe Libo, but the person who hardens his heart, Yipol B'Ro, fall in evil. It's a verse of Mishle in Proverbs. Kachi Midas HaChasidim. What is the attribute of Chasidim? Api Shakadosh Baruch Hu Maftichon, even if Hashem gives them guarantees, Ein Porkin Yira, they still don't cast off fear. The Chem B'Yaakov Siv, as we find by Yaakov, by Yiri Yaakov Ba'od, when he was going to be confronted with Esau, it says he was very fearful. Lama Yisyorei, why was he fearful? God guaranteed him. Shem is Kalkalte Eitzelav Mechlum, maybe I became slightly damaged by Lavan. Although he said, Lavan Garti Takri Shamarti, although the message he sent to Esau was, although I sojourned with Lavan, I observed the Torah mitzvos, the 613 precepts, and I did not learn from his evil ways. Moshe Tovas is a year of their Moshe also, he took hold of the same level of fear as his forefather, Loman Nishyore. They weren't permitted to benefit from the spoils. The only reason why they're able to conquer them, Og, was because of what? Because of their spiritual worthiness. Maybe the war that had preceded was the war against the Sichon. Maybe they benefited. They weren't permitted to take of the spoils of Sichon, or this Kalka Ba'avero, maybe there was some other sin. And therefore they no longer have that worthiness. You have nothing to worry. They're all righteously proper. Altiroso. Now, Shlo Omad Giba Ba'olam Koshim Menu. Og Mela Boshon, there was no Gibor, there was no powerful person in the world as Og. This is what to be afraid of. Shenemar. Kirag Og Melech HaBoshin Nisha Mireser Refoim. Og, the king of Bashan, was the only remnant of the original Refoim. He was the only one of those powerful giants who were killed time of Avraham Avinu. Shenemar Vayova Apolik Vayagid Lavrom, the refugee, had come and said to Abram, Zeog, Bekan Osos Shiraim, and here he became worthless. Shenemar Hulisha Mieser Foim. Kishoba Moshe Lasas Muhammad, when Moshe was going to enter battle with Og, Yishurim Mimeno, he was very fearful. Why? Omer Ani Ben Meir Esrim Shana, I'm 120 years old. Zeyesim Yichamesh Meos, he's more than 500 years. It's unheard of a person should live so many years, more than 500 years. Ilule Shoyelo Schus, so why did he live 500 years? Og, because he had a merit. Lo Choyakol, she says, this confirms that the only reason why he lived all these years because he has a merit. And so what was Moshe afraid of? Not his physical might. Whatever that merit may be, that he lived so many years, I'm concerned about that merit. Amallah Kodesh Baruch Hu, Moshe, Hashem says to Moshe, Al Tira also, you have nothing to be fearful of. Ki os v'yotcha dasati, I will give him into your hand. Ata b'yotcha tarhi, you'll be able to kill with your own hands. V'asislo kasher asisi l'soch l'sichon. And what was that? That because he had come and he informed Avraham Avinu that Lot was taken captive, although it was with a sinister intent, that was the merit. The merit came to an end. Once that merit comes to an end, regardless of how powerful he is, he's ready to be toppled. But what's the idea? Sichon, as powerful as he was, he could not conquer Heshbon. Well, why didn't HaKadosh Baruch Hu allow him to conquer Heshbon? He wasn't able to. He was impregnable. It was to give an understanding, which of course was a misleading understanding, that Bilam has the ability to do something which Sichon cannot do. So even though Klal Yisrael defeated Sichon, Melech Hamori, as powerful as he was, Bilam still had something over Sichon. The power to curse, and it was proven with Heshbon. But this was all a smokescreen. This was only so Balak should commission Bilam to curse Klal Yisrael. Why was it important for him to come curse Klal Yisrael? Because ultimately this was to draw him out and ultimately destroy him. Because what happened? He tried to curse Klal Yisrael, he wasn't able. As much as he tried, he couldn't. And he openly admitted, I cannot say anything unless God allows me to say it. But after everything was said and done, he had given the advice that the Jewish people should be involved with the Baal Por, which was that idolatry, in the Bnos Midjan. And this, he was killed. He was killed, it says he was killed by Chorev. He was killed by the sword. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu drew him out. But how did Bilam get involved in the fray? He only got involved in the fray because of the misunderstanding, the belief that he has something over physical might, or over the representation of Sichon, because Sichon could not conquer that city. It was only due to Bilam's ability of cursing. This is what it's about. We find that Paro had given a decree, Kol haben hayilod le'or tashlichu. Any male child that's born to the Jewish people, you should throw him into the Nile. So the Midrash says, why did Paro choose to kill the Jewish children by water? Why not by sword? Why not by fire? Because he had said that the God of the Jews, whenever he punishes measure for measure. So if we kill the Jewish people by the sword, he will kill us by the sword. If we kill them by the fire, then he will kill us by fire. But if we kill him by water, he cannot respond with water. Why? Because he had made a covenant with existence that he will never bring water again upon the world. And since Egypt was the height of civilization, if Egypt would be destroyed by water, it would be the equivalent of destruction of the world. This was Paro's reason why he chose water, to drown the children by water, not by any other means of destruction. So the Yalkut, the Midrash says, but you realize you can't outsmart God. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to the Jewish people, I want you to borrow from the Egyptians, your neighbors, clay chesel, clay zor, golden vessels, silver vessels, and tell them you're borrowing it. And tell them you're going to the desert for 3 days, and you're returning. And when they realize that you're not returning, they're going to pursue you to destroy you. And what's going to happen? They're going to come to the Yam Suf, to the Red Sea. The sea's going to split. So the covenant with existence is I will not bring water into existence, but they're going to the water. So how do you draw them to the water? HaKadosh Baruch Hu orchestrates a scenario that they're forced to go to the water. So ultimately what happens? Atzas Hashem tokum. The word of God stands firm. Ultimately it's meter connect meter, it's measure for measure. So it's mashki, rishoyim. God misleads the evil that ultimately that they go to their own destruction. By not allowing Sichon to destroy Cheshbon, he was able ultimately to destroy Bilam. Bilam was destroyed. Because he wouldn't have commissioned Bilam only knowing that Bilam had a certain power over Sichon. Gemara tells us that there's a message in Cheshbon. The word Cheshbon means computation. It says, Al-Kain Yomru HaMoshlim. Moshlim normally means those who are in control, the rulers. Therefore, the rulers will say, Bo Cheshbon, come to Cheshbon. So over here, the Balaturim, he cites the Gemara of Basra, Al-Kain Yomru HaMoshlim, the words, therefore, the Moshlim will say, the Gematria Elohim HaMoshlim Yitzrom. These are the people who actually have control over their evil inclination. They control the lives. The inclination doesn't control them, but they control the inclination. What is that? And they make the ultimate level of computation. Let's make a computation which the world stands as the most important computation. The schar mitzvah. What is the reward of a mitzvah? What's the downside of transgressing a mitzvah? That's the cheshbon. You have to make a cheshbon. This is what we refer to as the cheshbon on nefesh. This is the personal introspection that a person always has to make continuously personal accounting. That's the cheshbon. Al-Kain Yom HaMoshlim. Who is able to take control over his inclination? Only the one who continuously makes this personal computation. What is the schar mitzvah? What's hefsedo? What's the cost of a mitzvah? What's the punishment for a mitzvah? But why? Why do you have to make that continuous computation? This is the most important computation that a person can make, because that's the only way you're able to have a sense of your inclination where you continuously self-evaluate yourself. As we see that the whole story of Sichon with Cheshbon was only a smokescreen. That's all it was. It was only a way to draw out Bilam. But if you would have read the story, if you read the story in retrospect, how Kodesh Baruch Hu orchestrated it, it's exactly that ultimately Bilam should be destroyed. Find Rashi cites the Midrash when Kodesh Baruch Hu said to Bilam, where are you going? He said he was commissioned by Balak to curse the Jewish people. So originally, Balak had said to Bilam, I want you to go and curse this nation. He's more powerful than I am. Maybe I'll be able to smite him only to drive him from the land. So what was Balak's request? Not to annihilate them. That they should be protected. That they shouldn't be hurt by Klal Yisrael. Agar Shenem min Oretz. I know what you bless is blessed, and what you curse is cursed. When Hashem said to Bilam, Mi hanosh me'eli, who are these people with you? Yom Bilam Elokim, Balak ben Tziva Melch Moab Shol Chelai. These people are the agents that Balak, the king of Moab, sent to me. And what did he want? What was the request? Hini Om Hayotzim Mitzrayim. The nation that had gone out from Egypt, V'chasas ein Oretz, covered the eye of the earth. Ata Locho Kobel Yosef. I want you to curse them. Uchal Ulai Ilochem Rabbo. Maybe I'll be able to fight against them. V'girashtiv. So Rashi says, what is v'girashtiv? Min Olam. I will destroy them from the world. Ubalak Lomer V'gershenu min Oretz. Balak's request was only they should be driven from the land. Einim Vakish Elasim Olai. Balak says, I just want to remove them from me. Ubilam Hoyosonam Yosef Balak. Bilam hated the Jews, Klal Yisrael, more than Balak. Even though the question is, what was Bilam's personal gripe with them? But we find that his hate was greater than the hate of Balak. Balak, they were the people who were in a threatened position. Yet, he says, he should only be driven, Agar Shenem min Oretz, only keep him away from me. But Bilam, Hayisonim Yosef mi Balak. Now, why do you hate him more? We find that Bilam was a sorcerer. The Gemara tells us on Hedron that there were three advisors to Paro. One advisor was Bilam, one was Yisro, and one was Job. They were the three advisors. Who had advised Paro to enslave Klal Yisrael with all the various levels of slavery? This was Bilam. Bilam had advised Paro to enslave the Jews. So the bondage in Egypt was due to Bilam's influence over Paro. What happened when he advised them? So the Gemara says, Yisro Borach. In protest, Yisro fled from Egypt. He could not tolerate this injustice. Yosef, who was the viceroy of Egypt, if not for his involvement, Egypt would have perished in famine. He stored away the grain, all the wealth of the world came to Egypt because of Yosef. And after Yosef saving the country forever, this is the way you treat his family. Such a level of miscarriage of justice, such a level of cruelty he could not tolerate. In protest, he fled. He fled to Midian. Eov Shosai. Eov remained silent. He felt, what's the point of protesting? They're not going to pay attention. In either case, he remained silent. So from the very beginning, who was the one who instituted the bondage, who advised the bondage? It was Bilam. It was something even Paro, who was the person himself, had to contend with the problem. He didn't understand how to contend with it. Who was suggested it? It was Bilam. What does Bilam represent? We find that we say, when we bring the Bikurim, the new fruits, there's a declaration of the Bikurim. And what do we say in the declaration of the Bikurim? We recount, going back to Yaakov Avinu, all the good that God did for us. Arami Ovid Ovi, Vayir Mitzrayim. Arami, the Aramean, wanted to destroy our father. Who's the Aramean? Lavan Arami. Lavan, the father-in-law of Yaakov, it was up to him, he would have destroyed Yaakov and his family. There wouldn't have been a Klal Yisrael. His level of hate and disdain for Yaakov and Kedusha was something intolerable. If not for Hashem's coming to Lavan in the dream and said, do not touch him, do not harm him, he would have destroyed Yaakov and his family. This is Arami Ovid Ovi. We went down to Egypt. There's a Midrash. The Midrash says that Bilam and Lavan were the same person. It doesn't mean, so the way they explain it doesn't mean it was the same person. What it means to say that Bilam what Lavan was in terms of the antithesis of Kedusha and the opposition to Kedusha, that it was up to him, he would have destroyed that level of representation in existence. Identical, this was Bilam. Bilam cannot tolerate the Kedusha in the world. Therefore, the only way he was able to subdue it and hopefully ultimately annihilate it is being subjecting the Jews to bondage. That's Sheba Mitzrayim. And what would have been? What would have been? What would have been was we reached a point of spiritual extinction. We fell to the level of Mem Tasharei Tumah, the 49th gate of impurity. If we would have stayed there a moment longer, we would have gone into spiritual oblivion. Who was the cause of us being in that setting to almost reach a level of going to spiritual oblivion? This was Bilam. So you see, Bilam put us in a position that he would have destroyed us spiritually beyond recovery. We couldn't recover. This was Bilam's antithesis to what we were. His position, he was the counterbalance to Kedusha. That was Bilam. So he said, Vagarsheno. Not that Vagarsheno minoritz. His disdain and his hate for Kedusha was at a level which is not understandable. It was the equivalent of Esav Sonei Yaakov. Bilam was, even though he wasn't Esav, it's Esav Sonei Yaakov. Therefore he said Agarshenu Minoris, but it was a personal gripe. Show you the personal gripe. So Paro said, the Jews, we were having 6 children every litter. The numbers were staggering, the numbers of the Jews. How do you contain them? What happens if they choose to leave Egypt? How do you contain them in Egypt? How do you guarantee it? So the Chazal tell us that Bilam was a sorcerer, was a machashev, and he cast a spell of witchcraft around Egypt that no slave could ever flee from Egypt. It was impossible for a slave to flee from Egypt. The first person to flee from Egypt was Moshe Rabbeinu. After he killed the Egyptian and he fled to Midian, he was the only one who was able to penetrate that invisible wall to be able to escape. What happened after 210 years? Could you imagine? Bilam, he told Paro, you have nothing to worry about. Guaranteed they're not leaving. Because I cast the spell. 600,000 men above the age of 20 and the families, millions of people just poured out of Egypt. So it was an ego question. His ego was over here, was tarnished, was hurt. Paro, Bilam, where's your power? Bilam, you're not what you say you are. You did not deliver. So over here, Bilam was in a position he could not live it down, and he had to do whatever he had to do to rectify the damage that was done to him. The only way he was able to express this hate was to destroy Klal Yisrael through his curse. This is the only way it could be done. So there was a personal score that Bilam wanted to settle because of what Klal Yisrael did to him. Bilam hayisonim Yosem Balak. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says to Bilam, Vayom Elokim el Bilam lo seilech imoyim. Hashem says to Bilam, don't go with them. Kisor lo sor esom ki baruchu. Don't curse them because they are blessed. They're blessed, therefore don't curse them. Lo sor om. So over here, the Sefarno says, even if verbally you will not curse them, I don't want you to go with them. Why? Bilam is known for his ayin hara, ayin ro. Avraham Avinu had ayin tova, had a good eye. Bilam had a bad eye. The Gemara says he looked at him with his eye, but nasa gal shel atzomos. He turned into a heap of bones. The look of Bilam was so evil, was so lethal, that he could turn a human being into a heap of bones. So even if you're not going to curse them, that you're going to allow your eye to come upon Klal Yisrael, that itself, that's enough. Therefore, not only don't I want you to curse them, I don't want you to go with them. That was the representation of Bilam. There's a Rabbeinu Bachya, parshas Balak, in this portion where he says something phenomenal. The Gemara tells over a story at the end of Bava Kama that Rav Kahana, who was one of the great Amoroim interpreters of Mishnah, who was a Babylonian, he was a Jew who was an informer. And he informed to the Persian government on Jews, and Jews were actually put to death. So the law is, if a person's an informer, you're permitted to kill him. So Rav Kahana, being one of the leading Torah sages of Bavel, of Babylon, summons the person, and he says to him, and he warns him, forewarns him, he says, if you kill this baby, we're going to kill you. The moment he said that to this person, to this Jew, he had a sense the Jew's going to inform on him and put his life in jeopardy. Rav Kahana immediately goes, breaks his neck, and kills this informer. Rav Kahana became a fugitive. He fled from Bavel, and he fled to Eretz Yisrael. He comes to Eretz Yisrael. Who does he meet? He meets Reish Lakish. Rav Shimon Lakish, Reish Lakish, who's the most outstanding student of Rabbi Yochanan, and he engages in a Torah conversation with him. And he says to Reish Lakish, what did they discuss today in the Beis Medrash, in the study hall? And he shares with him a little bit. Rav Kahana was so great, he entered into this Torah conversation where Reish Lakish felt overwhelmed. He was dazzled with his dimension of knowledge of Torah. He immediately goes running to his Rebbe, Rabbi Yochanan, Reish Lakish, and he says to Rabbi Yochanan, Ari Olo bi Bavel. A lion just descended from Bavel, from Babylon. We have a lion here. So they invite Rav Kahana to come to the lecture. And they put Rav Kahana in the front row. In the front row. Rav Kahana, after he had killed this Jew, because he was an informer, he was a pursuer, he accepted upon himself 7 years of silence, that he will not reveal publicly his Torah greatness. The silence itself should be a kapara, should be an atonement, even though he was permitted and he was obligated to kill the person for self-preservation. It was a question of preserving his life. But that Hashem had put him in a setting that he had to take a Jewish life, he felt he needed atonement. So he accepted upon himself for 7 years, he will not reveal his greatness in Torah. So they put him in the front row, and Rabbi Yochanan begins lecturing. And Rabbi Yochanan puts out a question. They're waiting for Rav Kahana's response. Remain silent, because he made a vow that he's not going to reveal his greatness. So they demote him. They put him back a row. Okay? Rabbi Yochanan puts another question to him. They put him back another row. Finally sitting in the 7th row, because he would not respond. So Rav Kahana was a tremendous embarrassment for Rav Kahana, because Rav Kahana, of course, could respond, but he didn't respond because he made a vow that he's not going to reveal his greatness. So when he was put all the way back to the 7th row and he suffered this level of disgrace and embarrassment, he said to himself, let the 7 rows of silence, being put back 7 rows, be the equivalent of 7 years of silence. So after he had said that, he had said that, he says to Rabbi Yochanan, I'd like we should start all over again. We'll start over again. The questions. So they start with, and Rabbi Yochanan being very old. Rabbi Yochanan at this time was 140 years old. And Rabbi Yochanan had very, very long eyelashes as an old person, and he couldn't see naturally. His students had to take silver tongs and lift his eyelashes that he should be able to see, because his eyelashes were overgrown, and he wasn't able to see. And what happened was, he wasn't able to see. So they asked the first question, he responds. So Rabbi Yochanan sat on 7 pillows. Sat on 7 pillows. So every time he responded, they pulled the pillow out from under him. Until finally, Rabbi Yochanan was sitting on the ground. Was no longer sitting on a cushion. Rabbi Yochanan was amazed at the greatness of this young Torah scholar, this Torah sage. So Rabbi Yochanan says, I'd like to look at him, to see what he looks like. This man, such a Torah giant. And Rabbi Kahana had a lip deformity, which caused that he looked like he was smirking. Rabbi Kana was smirking. They lift his eyelashes, he sees, and it looks like he's smirking at him, he's mocking him. That he showed up Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan now is sitting on the ground, and he's victorious. So it says, he gazed at him, and he passed away. Rabbi Yochanan gazed at Rav Kana, Rabbi Yochanan died. Rav Kana died, passed away. So Rabbeinu Bachya asks, we understand a person has an evil eye, like Bilam. His eye was so lethal, as we just said, the Sefarno, Hashem says, I don't want you to go, even if you're not going to curse them. I don't want you to lay your eye on my children. Because your eye is so evil, you could turn them to a heap of bones. Rabbi Yochanan was the leading Torah sage of Eretz Yisrael. Rabbi Yochanan is the author of the Yerushalmi. He compiled the Yerushalmi, the Jerusalem Talmud. You mean to say a person of this dimension of Kedusha, holiness, and spirituality, his eye is Kadosh. He has an ayin tova on the most advanced level. Why, when he looked at Rav Kana, why did he pass away? That's Rabbeinu Bachya, his question. So Rabbeinu Bachya answers that Rabbi Yochanan in his life never had any lapse of Torah thought, ever in his life. When he saw Rav Kana and he believed he was smirking, that affected him, that at that moment he had a lapse of Torah thought. So because Rav Kana was the cause of the lapse of Rabbi Yochanan's Torah thought, that's why he died. It's not that his eye caused him to die. When he looked at him and he believed that he was smirking at him and he was personally offended, that caused him to have a Torah lapse of thought. At that moment, because he was the cause of that, that's why he died. So it's not the ayin hara chas v'sholom of Rabbi Yochanan, but rather is what Rav Kana caused. But Bilam, he was ayin ra. Bilam was truly the evil eye. We find, Torah tells us, finally, Vayokem Bilam baboker. Bilam rises early in the morning, Vayachush esasono, and he hitches his donkey. Vayelech Sorry Moab, and he goes with the ministers of Moab. So Rashi cites the famous Chazal, the famous Medrash. Mikan shasina mekalkel ashura. And here we see that hate, all-consuming hate, undermines protocol. Bilam being self-centered, being pompous, being megalomania, suffering megalomania. He had endless servants. He had wealth. A man of his status and dimension of person, he should hitch his own donkey. Shechoves hu atzmo. He went and hitched his own donkey. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Rasha. Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Rasha, evil one. Why did you hitch your own donkey? Farkodmach Avrom Avim. What you did now, hitching your own donkey to go curse Klal Yisrael, the forefathers of these people, he had preceded you. Therefore, what you're doing is not considered a great accomplishment. Shenemar, Vayashkem Avram Baboka V'Yachush Eschamoro. Avram rose early in the morning and he hitched his donkey. He hitched his donkey. Now the question is, which is an obvious question, Avram, when he rose early in the morning, what did he rise for? To take something to the Akedah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, could you imagine? A child born to a man, he was 99, he was 100 years old. 100 years old. And he was the future patriarch of Klal Yisrael. It was Yitzchok. He was his Ben Zekunim. He was everything. He was only child, relatively speaking. And he says, bring him as a sacrifice. Bring him up as a burnt offering. And he rises early to do the will of Hashem, the Akedah, understanding what the value of the Akedah is, the binding of his son. So where was he going? He was going to a mitzvah. The Gemara says, from here we learn, Zriz Magdim LaMitzvahs. One, when he does a mitzvah, he does it with alacrity. Bilam, why did he rise? He rose early to curse Klal Yisrael. Cursing Klal Yisrael was something which was contrary to the Ratzon Hashem, was contrary to the will of God. So if he did something contrary to the will of God, God shouldn't have responded, say, the forefather, these people had preceded you, but rather what they should have said, he should have been reprimanded. How do you rise early to do what you're doing? This is something which is against the will of God. What exactly was Bilam trying to accomplish? As I said, Bilam, he despised and hated Klal Yisrael at a level which is not to be understood. Baruch Hashem. This is Esav Soni Liakov on that exaggerated level. What he did, he wanted to bring tremendous persecution on Klal Yisrael. What was persecution do you want to bring on Klal Yisrael? Every human being is endowed and born with certain characteristics, inclinations. A person is born with the ability to do things with alacrity, with zeal. Okay? A person is able to invest it in positive, invest it in negative. We could take that characteristic and do the will of Hashem with zeal, and you could do something with zeal and gusto, which is contrary to the will of Hashem. That he rose early to curse Klal Yisrael, what he tried to demonstrate was, has Klal Yisrael ever invested that characteristic of zeal, of alacrity, to do your will? The way I'm investing it, and demonstrating it, and actualizing it, to go against your will, have they ever used that same characteristic to do your will? That's what he was saying. And if they didn't, chas v'sholom, what would be? It's a claim against us. If we possess, a human being possesses that degree of character, to invest it despite your will, despite your age, despite everything, to rise early, why did they invest it? They should have invested it. They should have expressed it and actualized it. Kodesh Baruch says, you know something? The forefathers of this people, he already preceded you. He already actualized it in the most positive context, in the context of Kedusha, to bring his son as a sacrifice, as a burnt offering. Therefore, it's not a basis for prosecution. So what I once said, at a siyum, we conclude, make a siyum on a tractate, on a mesechta, we say, Onu mashkim vehi mashkim. We rise early and they rise early. The nations of the world. Onu rotzim heim rotzim. We run and they run. The question is, what do we have to talk about? The goyim, the nations of the world. They rise early, they run, where they run, how they run. We do, receive reward, they do, they don't receive. What do we have to talk about them? Let's talk about ourselves. Onu rotzim, onu mashkimim, onu mekablim schar. That's all we should say. What do we have to talk about the goyim? The answer is, what we're saying is, the same way lahavdil, the goy runs leber shachas. He runs to the depths of Yehenum. Lahavdil, we run to do the Ratzon Hashem. We run l'chayim habo. We run to receive the ultimate level of reward, to have a relation with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What we're saying is that whatever characteristics they've demonstrated in the negative, we on the most extreme level, in the positive, we've invested in Kedusha. That's what we're talking about it. We're saying if it would be any different, there's a basis for a claim against us. If they could express it in the negative, why didn't we express it in the positive? That's the reason why we talk Onu rotzim heim rotzim. We run and they run. Onu mashkim vehi mashkim. We rise and they rise. Onu amelim u'mekablim schar. We toil and they toil. Why talk about that toil? No, we both toil. We toil to no less of a degree. And because we toil to that degree and we express it and let it manifest itself in the context of Kedusha, therefore there's no claim against us. That's what we're pitting once against the other. And that's exactly what Bilam tried to accomplish. Vayashkem Bilam baboke vayachvosh es asono. He wanted to bring about this level of prosecution. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says it's baseless, it's meaningless, because Kar Kodmoch Avim Shalei.